Welcome back, and we're back with another great panel. I'm here with Henry Banh and Dan Horgan, and Henry runs a number of companies, and one of them is, well, I'll give you all of them actually. So Link Mode Digital Marketing, and that's what we're here to talk about, marketing. He also runs Forged by Service, Veteran Social Summit, which we are streaming through right now, and then Fob Sauce, and that's a hot sauce company.
Correct.
And it's pretty decent, I must say. And then we have Dan Horgan, and he's also a business owner, and his company's Arrow and Honor Code. And these guys are both marketing experts, so we're going to dive into marketing.
I wouldn't say expert.
I know, right? That sounds so.
I mean,
it's like I know marketing.
You know marketing.
I've been doing marketing for a while.
No, it's so true.
All right, well, combined experience. Here.
Marketing guys.
All right.
Just two marketing guys.
Just two marketing. Okay, we're just two marketing guys who pretty much know what they're talking about. Okay, so we'll start with you, Dan. Tell us a little bit about you and the marketing guy experience.
Yeah, just so as we talk about veteran space too, so joined the Air Force in '91, retired in 2016, had about 3 different careers. The last career that I had is like the cool one, and people would know I was a TAC-P. I was a JTAC, so I did airstrikes. Got to deploy to Afghanistan in 2011, which was great. But I ended up retiring in 2016. My wife is still in, so I get to check being a military spouse as well now. She's still active duty Air Force. But even during that time, I was in the Guard. And so when I say about my background, it's because of the experiences. I was a Baltimore City narcotics detective for about 7 years. So I worked in Baltimore, Maryland from 2003 to 2010. As a cop, so that was again quite adventurous.
Mm-hmm.
And so then my claim to fame, marketing, because you're like, where does that go for marketing? We PCS down here in late 2018, early 2019. I got picked up with Black Rifle Coffee. I was about employee 100, and so I worked directly for Evan Hafer, the founder for Black Rifle Coffee, when we had the office here in San Antonio. If you're familiar with Game of Thrones, that was kind of like what my initial job was. I actually have a little pin that was the hand. So that was the thing. I was the hand to the king. But then Evan moved me over to marketing, and I was the director of marketing operations, which events and partnerships and influencers. I actually ran the company LinkedIn page on the side from the actual social media team. So did things like that. I got to go to New York City in 2022 when Black Rifle went public and was on the stock exchange floor, which I didn't think was going to be cool until it was.
Okay.
So part of my event stuff is I had the big fake checks, right? And so we had 5 of those because we gave money to some nonprofits. So I got to be escorted up onto the stock exchange floor before even all the traders were up there. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But I left that summer of 2022, and the big question always is why. And what I had learned in about those 3.5 years, Henry and I were talking egotistically, I would say is, 8 or 10 years anywhere else, just what the level Black Rifle was doing. So I really wanted to take that and use it. I kind of bebopped around these last 3 years. And when I say bebopped around, I've worked for 2 veteran nonprofits. One was a Purple Heart organization. One was out of Tampa that does holistic health stuff. From social media strategy and their events to most recently, I was with a financial technology company that's here in San Antonio called Porch Pass. AP, their founder, is actually on the board for Geekdom. They had a little stuff. We had a little bit of a layoff, which was great for me because the day that a lot of us got laid off, I actually started in my company. So I was ecstatic, but I did already have a plan. I planned on walking the Riverwalk like during lunch, go on IG Live, promote the company, right, on my lunch hour and things like that.
Did you do that?
No, because we were all gone by 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I was happy enough because the website went live and like all the I use LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. They were all live, and so that was great. And that's what I've been doing since June, is running Arrow and Honor Co., getting veterans into archery. Right, I'm bootstrapping it, but the social media is me. Right, operational wise, my wife helps out, and then I have someone in Salt Lake City that does manufacturing and shipping. because being an entrepreneur, the whole doing out of your garage sounds super cool. It is not realistic. It is not a thing. I couldn't do it. And I don't sell that much, maybe, but it's so I outsource that. And so that's what I've been doing since June is running Arrow and Honor Co.
Okay, awesome. Yep. All right, so I see you have a little bit of marketing experience.
There's a tad. And it's a lot of OJT. As we talk, I said you're classically trained in marketing, going like to college. Right. I think for me, the military-wise, I was a lot of just on-the-job training is where I got my experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
What about you, Henry? Tell us a little bit about your background and your service.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Henry Banh. Again, I joined the Marine Corps in 2001. Like I was 17 years old, straight out of high school. And I turned 18 in boot camp, and that was just quite the experience in itself. It's, let's see, my first duty station was in Iwakuni, Japan. And from there, I came back to Quantico, trained as a Marine security guard, and to serve at the embassies overseas. I was in Moscow and Bangladesh. I came back and was finally stationed in Yuma, Arizona as an aviation technician.
That's horrible.
Working, it's
Yuma.
I mean, you've been to Yuma?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
My dad lived there.
There you go. So if you've been to Yuma, it's basically a drive-through desert town.
Right.
But since then, I've been back a couple times. It's expanded. Yeah, they finally got Sprouts now, so they were really proud about that. Let's see. I got out, worked in federal service as a security specialist for the Army Proving Grounds in Yuma, Arizona. Decided it was not the right gig for me. So what did I do? I quit my job, found a position, a contract. It was startup in LA. Moved my entire life to LA to work for a company that I didn't really know was going to be around in a little bit, but it was a lot of fun. And then that's where I discovered social media, right? And it was this like new thing. Social media was still kind of new back in like 2013, 2014. And I was helping my friends grow their social media presence. One of them, we grew to 50,000 followers on Facebook. I don't know, like it's a little hard now to do Facebook, but back then it was super easy. And that made $50,000 made like immediate impact on his business, the family he was trying to grow, and the community that he served in. I mean, during COVID, he was able to like just donate food to his community when food scarcity became a thing during COVID times. I discovered that marketing was a lot of fun. I could help so many more businesses. So I just kind of dove into a lot of like different marketing disciplines, copywriting, advertising, paid ads, analytics. I finally settled into kind of like SEO and website development. That's where I feel like I could provide the most value to a lot of my customers. And just like you, a lot of it is like OJT, learning on the fly, taking all these courses, asking other experts about like, hey, teach me what you know so I can help other people as well. And then I formed a few other companies. One of them is Fob Sauce. It's a brand to celebrate heritage and culture, based off my family recipes. Fob stands for Fresh Off the Boat, to celebrate my parents and other immigrant families coming into the U.S. I also became the co-founder of Veteran Social Summit, which is an annual summit for veteran and military connected community. And we are launching Forged by Service here pretty soon, which is going to be a media company helping military connected creators, influencers, and podcasters to come into the platform, be a one-stop shop of information for all of us.
Okay, awesome. So I felt like I wanted to go to a round of just traditional, like saying what is marketing or why is marketing important. But I think you guys already hit up both on social media, right? Growing followers. You were going to go on a river walk and be live.
Right.
Tell us the importance of social media and maybe some of the things that you can do early when you're a solopreneur, because it does require a lot of time and you don't have a lot of time as a solopreneur. Mm-hmm. So you have to really figure out what you dedicate your time to. Operations, right? Growing your business, or just even figuring that out. And now you have social media. What are some of the things that a new newly formed business, or when you're just in the initiation stage, kind of starting your business, what can you do that you would recommend with social media? Dan?
Yeah. So doing it now, even myself, but like, again, I take it back from a Black Rifle days. So we talk about growing, so LinkedIn, when I started with Black Rifle, like Evan gave me LinkedIn, right? The social media team had 1.8 million for Instagram, right? They didn't even want to touch LinkedIn back then. They were like, what is this? So when I was just given to it as an additional duty, right? As you know, in the military, it was like, just like, hey, you're the ComSec custodian, wear this hat. You're like, all right, cool. But it had 10,000 followers, which was a decent base. When I left, we were at 280,000. I didn't do that though, right? Black Rifle was on a trajectory, but everything I posted was I would either pull, right, or I would do, but I was the one engaging. And again, I didn't work for social media team, it was me. So that was pretty cool. So I got to do that. And so when you look at what you have to do now, like I take a lot of that. And so so running my social for my own like little company now is, you have to have, if I like to say a social media kick is consistency, right? Consistency and sustainability. I'm not a big numbers guy, but if you look at consistency, I can consistently post twice a week. Okay, great. But now 2 times 4 is 8. So there's a month, and then 8 times 12 is 96. So I need 96 pieces of content, of media for the year to have that sustainability. And that's what a lot of people I see and I've seen, and founders and for nonprofits and such is, and it's like with Black Rifle, we had our own media section. I mean, it was ridiculous, right? And people would think Black Rifle was a media company, not a coffee company. But that's what they needed. And that's what I even do now. So, but that consistency, but then realistically, what's the sustainability? Because just because you can do it for 1 month, like that's not going to be enough, right? You have to be able to sustain it and keep going evenly, at least for a year, right? So you need 96 pieces if you're going to commit to 2. Now you want to go big time and say, I'm going to do 5 times a week. Now you start doing the math, right? 5 times 4, right? And then what that number is times 12. And so like, that's where I am. And so I sit daily, right? Being that creative person is, where am I taking the photo, right? And what photo is it? I would tell everyone in the room, if you're familiar with, DVIDs, if you are doing anything kind of military related, it's called the Defense Visual Information Distribution System, DVIDS. It is free. It is where every military photographer has to put their photos. Now, there are certain stipulations, like if you use a photo, there's copyright laws and you have to put, the DoD doesn't endorse, right? It's all on there. But when I talk about that though, a lot of people aren't familiar with DVIDs. And it's a thing when you say it and they're like, what? And you see what DVIDs is. Can I call anyone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who has like does anyone have a company already or something? Alan? Okay. Alan has a company, Grow Solutions, and physical fitness and gyms, in the AI technology and stuff that goes into that, right? Okay. If I were to go into DVIDs and just type in probably gyms or physical fitness or something, I guarantee you I could find an Air Force or a Marine Corps gym, right?
Or
Alan could use that photo, of it, because then he can talk on, just gyms in general, but that's a photo, right? Instead of just using, I'm a Canva fan. I love Canva, but you're going to use something that is authentic. And so when I say that, it's a filler. So when we talk about that consistency, if you need something, those are tools that help. So part of that, we talked about rambling, I think it's, you have to dive into what you can do consistently, what you can sustain, what your creativity, and if you're on an operations side of a business, you're going to need someone to do that, because you're not going to be able, right? I mean, Alan has a marketing person now, and and Larry, right? And you need those things, because you're not going to be able to get. We were talking earlier. It's not the 1950s or 1960s where it's just word of mouth or a billboard, right? Like now, social media, organic.
And the thing is, like, people make it a lot more complicated than what it should be.
Yeah.
Right. One thing I tell my clients and a lot of people is like, hey, start with something. Start with anything, right? And the term I use, and Danielle talks about this a lot. Do it ugly, right? It doesn't have to be pretty. And when you first start out, you just got to get consistent, and then once you get that consistency down, you can focus on making things pretty.
You look at like a Yeti or even a Black Rifle. Go back to 2014 on Instagram on some of these big companies. Yeah. Oh, their stuff was trash, but it like compared to what they do now, right?
Yeah. When you have more marketing dollars and more revenue or whatever, right? And one of the easiest thing that a lot of us can do is take content that you already have and split it up. And we call it, and that there's a term out there called content splintering, right? Where you can take a long form video or a blog article and just break it up into all these like different things, whether it be an infographic, a quote, a social media post. You can break your videos down into clips. Everybody here knows about how to do that. There's AI that does it for us now. So social media have become a little bit easier to do with these AI programs and whatnot.
So Henry, expand a little bit on using AI. Everybody knows ChatGPT, right? And some of the different Perplexity or whatever is out there. How would you utilize AI? Because it sounds actually very labor intensive to do content, right? And then you think about it and you're like, I don't know if this sounds right or this sounds right. Maybe even messaging, talking about messaging and AI as part of social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I mean, first off, I use AI. I don't know how you use AI. I use AI for a lot of like research,
brainstorming,
and development. It's never the final product for me. And so I'll get on to Perplexity, ChatGPT, or whatever AI platform that you use, and just go in and was like, hey, I want to talk about flowers. Tell me everything you know about flowers, all the different types and whatever, right? Because if I don't know it, if I have a flower shop, I don't know anything about flowers, but ChatGPT does or Google does, right? So I go in and just go into a flower deep dive. And then I find out, how, the different, how flowers grow and different types of soil, things like that. So it just gives me ideas on what to do.
Yep.
And then from there, I create a full content calendar, or ChatGPT will probably give me a full content after all that.
Yep. Yeah, and it's not going to generate it can generate content as in like photos or pictures, but it'll still give you, because I've used that. Actually, I would tell you, I think I used it like 2 days ago. I was just like, I want to post on this day. Give me ideas, right, for a static photo. And it's just, again, because I'm by myself, right? My wife she's not into that kind of section of it. So it's an assistant, it's a brainstorm, and it'll spit out, like, you tell it, list me 3 ideas. It'll give me 3 ideas. They could be trash or they could be good. But they normally, and that's the thing though, that's the editing portion of AI, because it's pulling its information from the internet. Mm-hmm. It's not making it up. I mean, it's pulling it from something that's already there, right? And so somewhere, right, in all the O's and whatever, right? It's pulling the ones and O's. Yeah, it's pulling data, and doing that. And so then you read through it, and like usually, like it's pretty good. Like, but again, you read through it and you find that one. Yeah. And so for me, like I am a photographer, kind of a little bit on the side. That was in my big bag. I have a camera with me, but I didn't pull it out. But like it would say like, hey, like take this idea of a photo, and then I'm like, okay, great. Like I didn't think of that, and then I can try to create that photo. And so it did help. But then from there, from AI, that's where I go down a rabbit hole. Is once you pick one, you're like, great. Now give me, a short LinkedIn post as me, but write in a tone of Dr. Seuss, using that photo idea, don't use M dashes, things like that, right? And that's the whole M dash thing with AI. And it'll spit something out. And then it spits it out, but then I still edit that down to like 50% and then put my own flair into it. And while that process might seem like, couldn't you have just done that yourself? The answer is no, because I'm not a smart guy. Like I'm the Forrest Gump. I'm not a smart man. And so like it has that knowledge and just helped me out. And then, but you can use it in there. Yeah.
And you bring up that important point, like your voice.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I can't tell you how many. I mean, I read several blog articles a day, and sometimes it's the same article, right? It's the same voice, and it's like, well, where's Alan in this? You know, because we all speak differently. The way we talk, the mannerisms, the grammar we use, our pronunciations. We all have our unique way of talking, and your audience is expecting your voice to come through in your videos, in your blog articles, in your social media posts, because they're following you, not some AI script. So when you get these like articles back or social media back, take a look and say, this is not how I sound. This is not how I was saying it. So edit the post in your voice, in your brand messaging, so that your audience connects with you as your personal brand and as your business as a business brand.
Yeah.
So you brought something else up I want to touch up, brand messaging, right? We talk about communication, messaging, sounding like yourself, but then also you have your company. What is the tone or is the message that you want to set for your company? Do you guys use a brand guide and then utilize that? Or how do you stay on brand for your organization, for your company, and for yourself, right? How are those brands and voices differently? How do you intermingle those if you do? Or how do you keep them separate? Can you talk about that a little bit? I know there was a lot there.
Yeah. I would need to say, like, for say a bigger company, like an establishment like Black Rifle, right? Mm-hmm. We had a brand guide, right? 100%. And that was, the creative director, with the founders and stuff made that. And this is your font. This is your colors. And then mission and vision and things like that. So on a well-established company, when you get there, you want those things, right? Because you don't want to start going astray. And then, because it really defines that. For me, and Henry, I don't know about you, like I say mine's little. Again, I just started in June with my personal company. I don't have a brand guide, but obviously I made the brand, so I know my brand well enough. Eventually I probably will put it down. But what I like to do is I know that. And so I keep my personal brand on brand with mine. So it's veterans and archery, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm very much on that.
Those are your messaging pillars.
Pillars, right? Yeah, pillars for sure.
Yeah.
And so, but even color schemes in a sense. If you went to my IG for the company, you can kind of see. I don't like a lot of the bright colors, or it's a little bit of a haze, like a masking for it. And so I try to keep like even into that, right? Because it keeps aesthetically like consistent. And even on my personal page, I like how that edit is. I use Lightroom. There's a media company called Clandestine Media Company. I actually have some of their presets. And so there's one that I really like. I try to even keep that with mine. But branding messaging, like even like when I talk today, I would say my LinkedIn post today about me was about a part of my military past, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's me. I am the founder. But my company, even though I didn't mention my company at all, like you'll see at the top, like, oh, this guy started, Aero and Honor Co. And oh, he's Air Force, right? And this is what he did during some of his time here. And it goes back to it's a veteran company, mm-hmm. right? And so it stays like I'm not, I don't. There's nothing out of brand ever for my personal or the company one.
I mean, if we're talking about brand guide, start off. If you have a logo, throw it into the brand kit in Canva, and it will just collect those colors for you. It's super easy now. Like you don't have to even think about it. You pick your colors, throw it in Canva, it's all set.
Yeah, like I use Posy Textured for my font.
Yeah, I forget what I like. I think it's like Lee Spartan.
Okay.
That's like my favorite font.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, that's what I use for LinkedIn digital marketing. Right. But for your brand pillars, right? Like, what does your brand talk about? For my personal brand, I talk about entrepreneurship, veteran ecosystem, and connectivity. And so personally, that's what I talk about. That's how I portray out into the world. But for my marketing business, we talk about SEO. We talk about copywriting and brand messaging. So we're focused on on these very specific things because that's how I want my customers to show up, or my clients to show up for their brands.
Yep.
Okay. So let's stay with social media. what about the different platforms that are out there, right? There are so many different platforms.
And there's so many popping up. I can't keep track.
So tell me, how do you prioritize that as a small business owner? Whether it's, single or multi, you're starting to grow. There's just so much out there. How do you determine where to invest your time in?
I mean, I would say first off, the very first thing that, get into customer discovery. Figure out who your customers are.
Yep.
Figure out where they're hanging out.
Where is your audience?
If your customers somehow to be our Gen Alpha, they're on TikTok. if your audience is maybe people, us, we're probably on Facebook and LinkedIn these days. And also depends on what type of your business is at, right? If you're B2C, if you have a product-based business, and depends on the type of product business. If you have food or fashion, maybe you should be on Instagram. But if your product-based business is maybe I don't know,
like services, like I'm a leadership consultant. You may be still on Instagram, but more focused on LinkedIn. Yeah.
So it just depends on the type of business you're at, who your customers is, and like who here has done their customer discovery. They've actually talked to their customers, talked to 100 people, say, these are my people that I'm going to be reaching out to. Anybody has done that?
Can you raise your hand if you have?
Talk to 100 people who might be your customers. If you haven't done that, do that sometime in the next week so that you can understand who your people are that you're trying to reach out to, where they live on social media, so that you can focus all your efforts on that.
Yeah, it's also your personal. Like again, so for me, my company and I are very intertwined, obviously. Yeah. So it's like where I was already using my personal space. LinkedIn and Instagram were huge for me. Facebook, I hated, but I had to use it for work. But when I created Arrow and Honor Co., I have a Facebook, and it's the least out of the three anyway, too, right? But when we were first talking about social media, like I was going to even bring that up, but again, I didn't want to ramble. But it's also like what we said is, where is your audience? TikTok is videos, right? I do archery and I do have sometimes videos, but I can't. And I talk about consistency. I couldn't keep up TikTok, and so I don't do TikTok, right? Threads is a new one. I have a Threads account. I don't use it, and I don't have one though for my company, just because that audience is already on Instagram, right?
And then there's Blue Sky now, which is supposed to be like the X killer or the Twitter killer or whatever. But
Substack is something kind of like, no, that's not only social media per se, but Substack is a lot now too with the writing.
That's more blog articles and whatnot.
Right.
Same thing with like Medium. So depends on who. One, again, your business, who your customers are, and where they like to hang out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so in Instagram is very photo, right? Photo heavy. When I say that, right? It's photo heavy. So when we go back to, if I was a leadership consultant, I'm not making fun of, if anyone's a leadership consultant, please, I'm not making fun of you, but it's a service, right? You might not have, when I talked about that consistency, you might not have photos. Like, what would photos be of leadership consulting, right? So that would probably be difficult.
But if you're want to do talking head videos,
sure,
that would be great as an Instagram reel or a TikTok
if
reel.
You could, yeah. But if you can't, that's where a LinkedIn could come in, because LinkedIn, photos are great, but you don't need really that. And so that's your platform.
Put yourself on Substack.
Yeah, write something. Yeah. So it goes back to your audience.
I think the answer is it depends. Like, and I know we don't like to hear that. Like, it depends, but in reality, it really does. Like,
So we talked about customer discovery and just marketing in general, right? If you don't know who your customer is, how difficult does it become to apply any marketing principles in a way that truly gets to the audience for your business to?
It's so difficult.
Talk a little bit more about that.
So we had a discussion. Let's see. Anybody here who has wasted money on marketing? Right? Yeah, everybody here. And a lot of that is because you haven't done that like initial foundational work. You haven't talked to your customers. You don't know what their pain points are. you may know what your pain points are for your product that you're trying to do, but until you get the product into the hands of your customer and how they're going to use it and how they're going to screw it up and whatever, you can't find out where they might, how they're going to use it, right? I mean, I'm kind of like mumbling over here.
No, I would say it's just my ADHD flared up. It's almost like a lemonade stand.
Yeah.
You're going to open a lemonade stand on this corner, but you've never been to that corner. You don't know who's going to show up on that corner. Well, maybe you're now in a neighborhood where everyone's allergic to lemons.
Or it might be an exit ramp on the highway.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Just-
Yeah, you don't
Right.
know. So you have to do, but that's the thing though, in a business. So again, like right now I'm selling shirts and hats and tumblers to start my company with the archery,
Mhm.
right? When you're bootstrapping it, like you need sales. And so as an entrepreneur, no one wants to hear, I'm pointing out, right? No one wants to hear as a founder, as a CEO, like, I need to take about 3 months to find out, because you're like I'm paying you just to find out, but it's for that reason, because I'm not going to make that lemonade stand on the corner where no one's showing up. I need to do that research. I need to get that data, find out who the audience is to be able to.
I use the billboard analogy as well. It's like you may have the billboard on 35 on I-10, right? But again, if your customers aren't living there, they may be in Fredericksburg, right? And so you're putting all your marketing dollars in the wrong place, again, because you haven't done that initial foundational work.
It's data. Like we talked what you did for data. Marketing data. Marketing is so many paid ads, email, social, right? There's so many different categories in for marketing, but data marketing is huge, and you need that to really be able to whittle down, because you're just gonna be wasting your time and spinning your tires. Yeah.
And I think making sure that you have continuous data, right? In the beginning, your customer discovery, you should have data. Somewhere in the middle, you should make sure that you test and you validate your assumption about your customer, base. And then you should do that continuously. Data will provide you what you need to reshuffle and repivot.
Yeah.
So maybe we can talk about that.
You're never done with customer discovery. It's something that you're always continuous have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And because as your company grows, your company changes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So Henry, your expertise or your knowledge in SEO, talk about maybe data and websites and that perspective, how you can utilize your website and SEO to maximize the data that
Absolutely.
you get.
I mean, the phrase I keep hearing is SEO is dead. And it's like, well, SEO pretty much drives everything on the internet these days. And also, who here uses ChatGPT, right? OpenAI just put out a job for looking for an SEO strategist, paying them $260,000. If they're paying somebody $260,000 to run their SEO on a platform that you're using for SEO, how much more should you invest in somebody to help you with SEO and websites and things like that? So, talking about SEO is not dead. It just evolved. Right, it evolved into two different things: AEO, answer engine optimization, and GEO, generative engine optimization. AEO here, okay. So AEO, if you search for anything on Google, something pops up. It's like, hey, you might these answers you might also be these questions you might be interested in. That's AEO, right? And that's information that's your frequent answered questions on your website. And then GEO is ChatGPT and Perplexity. So that's information they're pulling from Google, pulling from information on your website into their platform to provide answers to people asking questions about the services or about your expertise.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing with SEO. So I'm the IVMF. I'm in one of their classes right now in week 6. And they actually gave just an extra video for SEO, because we were just talking about marketing, and a lot of founders that aren't marketing people were like, "What SEO?" But it whittles down to like keywords, right? It's that keywords, right? You don't want to try to sell something where no one's at. Same thing go with the keyword. You don't want to sell lemons, but you're using the word peach or strawberry, right? And you're like, okay, you're not using the word lemon.
Thing is, Google is smarter than that, right? So
Yeah.
if you're a lemonade stand, Google will also crawl your website to figure out to find matching keywords that are relevant to a lemonade stand.
Sure.
Such as ice and
Yep.
straws
Yep.
and cups and sugar and like recipes. They're looking for backup information on your website to back up your main keyword.
Yep.
So it's just not your main keyword that you got to put on every blog article, but it's looking for supportive articles as well.
Yep. And that's why SEO is so important.
Yeah.
If your SEO is not optimized, right, or if your website is not configured, or you don't know if your website is set up correctly, what are some key things someone can do right now when they're going back and looking at their website? What should you look for on your website?
I would look for, so websites. So the first thing I usually ask when I jump on a website is, what does the website want me to do? So you have to understand what the journey your visitors are on when they jump on your website. If there's no call to actions, if there's no buttons, if there's no like, hey, check this out, then your customers are going to say, or your visitors are going to say, there's nothing for me here. I'm going to jump off and go somewhere else. Right?
Yeah.
And
And
so,
how quickly does that happen, Henry?
gosh, within the first 10 seconds.
Yeah. Because we're all consumers. Think about when you jump on a website, right? I mean, you have to, and so when you're thinking about that, think about how you search social media or, not social website. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the first part of your
Yeah.
website, right? Your landing page. First thing you see is what we call top of the photo. If you guys remember newspapers, right? The first thing you pick up is all the information that's relevant to what you want your customers to see, and then from there, it should be a cool little call to action button. Whether it's like, hey, view my services or book a call or whatever it is, right? So again, you're leading your customer to where you want to take them on your website. And so as for website optimization, for customer journey and sales, that's exactly how you need to do it. Now for SEO, you need to go in and fix things like your taglines and your headers and things like that. For your pictures, it should never be a number.jpg. You need to title your pictures because everything on your website is searchable by search engines.
Yeah, no, I actually learned that. I'll tell you, just as a new entrepreneur, and again, on marketing side, websites aren't my specialty, but designing. So the shirts that I have up for sale is the person who helped me. Like, oh, you need your URL make. I had a shirt that was for Purple Hearts, and so, but what I use Wix. Just if anyone use, right? It's like Shopify, right? I use Wix. But the URL was I don't know. It was the generic one. So it was I don't know what it was. Archery cup, but it wasn't. It was a Purple Heart shirt. So they're like, oh, you need to go in and change that. And so I was like, what? And I had all 5 shirts. I didn't have that. So I had to go in and do that for each shirt. But again, part of that is the same, for the website. Yeah. It's
the same thing. Everything on your website is searchable. So, every article you write, every photo you put on, every video you have needs to have the correct title.
Yep.
Let's talk about maybe profiles, your LinkedIn profile, and maybe about personal branding, any company brand. We talked about that.
That is a whole.
Yeah.
What is?
That's a whole beast. Who here has their what is it? Vanity link on their LinkedIn, or who had changed it? It's your name, right? Or who here has just LinkedIn.com/in/numbers.
Make it.
Yeah.
Change that.
Change that.
Yeah.
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 As a personal brand, your name and your messaging pillars and all that stuff needs to be the same across all media platforms. So, Henry Banh, B-A-N-H, that's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the social media pages. I have a Medium account that I never use. I have a Blue Sky account that I never use. But I capture those things so that when somebody searches for my name, all of that pops up, right? And they see exactly where I am.
Yeah, and I have a very big soapbox for LinkedIn when we talk about a personal is if you have a company, right, as we talk about this, if you don't, and you're on LinkedIn, but you don't have a company page, you're wrong. And when I say that, like, I don't like absolutes, but that is like the one, like an absolute that I stand by, because when you look at your personal branding, if you're trying to make your LinkedIn page good, great, I go down to your experience section, and it's, Dan Horgan Consulting, and I don't have a Dan Horgan Consulting LinkedIn page. It's that generic just image that's there.
Yeah.
That immediately is, this guy is crap, right? I mean, that's just the words, like, I'm the basic guy. It's crap.
And what's cool is, like, you can build your entire, like, branding on LinkedIn now.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have LinkedIn newsletters that your followers can join and things like that. And again, everything on LinkedIn is searchable.
Yep.
One, by LinkedIn, and two, by search engine.
And I think you don't need as many followers either. I think it's 90. Once you get 90 on LinkedIn.
Once you get 500.
Is it 500?
500,
500 is the magic number.
Okay, 500.
But this is what I say too, is, and it's because I love Instagram, right? I'm a huge Instagram person. How do I know LinkedIn's good? Because people on Instagram make fun of the people on LinkedIn. You don't see people on LinkedIn making, and that's what I'm saying. If you're on Instagram and you're like, your platform is, right, not a bunch of people blowing smoke wherever, right? Because that's what people on Instagram will say. Oh, I got to get rid of my LinkedIn, and they'll make fun of it. And you're like, oh, okay, because this platform is so much more better, where you think that your life is, right. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I need to jump in on this. Like,
oh yeah, I got friends on Instagram. Oh yeah, you'll see, like, the memes will pop up, like, my life will be so much better when I get rid of my LinkedIn. And you're like, but your life is super cool right now when you're on Instagram. You're like, okay. I love Instagram. Like I said, I'm on both because I love the photography and videography aspect of it. But that's how I know, like, for real, I look at it. That's how I know LinkedIn is good, because there's people on Instagram telling you to making fun of LinkedIn, and you're just like, and they don't even know. Again, I would tell you, go back to a Black Rifle. Like, they were sitting at like 1.5 million, I think, or like 1 million back in 2018 for like Instagram, right? And LinkedIn was sitting at 10,000, and it really wasn't thought of, right? And then, and I got handed it, and then we grew that thing to 280, and I think it's sitting a little over 300. But it's companies, that are, recruiting companies like a Lockheed, Boeing's, companies like that, they have huge ones. So for, again, a coffee company that was started in a garage, and is where it's at, to sit at 300,000, like, you're a Starbucks level. And when you look at it, we say, well, a Starbucks level, that's billions with a B of dollars, right, of revenue. So just to be able to infiltrate that market, yeah. So, LinkedIn
makes it easy. They give you a step-by-step on how to do a complete profile. I call it LinkedIn profile optimization. It's one of the services I do. Right. And I go in and say, hey, do you have a cool banner? Is your name correct? Right. Are your taglines correct? Do you have an about me section? Do you have a featured section? How do you have any recommendations? If you don't have any recommendations on your profile, get some. All you gotta do is message people and say, hey, write me a recommendation. It's so easy. All right. Gosh. Oh, also, here's a little tip. You get 10 seconds. You get 10 seconds next to your little name to do a little commercial. Right?
Yeah, I don't do that, but yeah,
it's easy. What it is, it's that little, like, speaker thing next to your name. You're supposed to provide your how to pronounce your name. I use it as a 10-second commercial. Hey, my name is Henry Banh. I do digital marketing. Please reach out to me. Right, and something super easy.
It really is, and like I said, and if you're here and you're trying to start, a business, and we talk about, it on the veteran space, that's the thing for LinkedIn military communities, huge. Like, and it's kind of who you follow, you see it, and there is a world outside of the veteran community, obviously, on there, but I mean, it has become huge on there. So just as a veteran in military transition space, you should definitely be on there. There's people like Quinn, right, who are teaching general officers in the military how to use it before they get out. But it really goes back, I think, even to the entrepreneur side. If you're starting a business, like, like we talked about, like be where your audience is, but I'm just saying, like if you're on that like personal, you need to have a company one for sure too. Yeah.
So let's talk about personal brand even
Yeah.
prior to your business, right?
Sure.
Because some of us, like me, I started business. I was like, oh, now I've got to get super active on LinkedIn.
Right.
I hate social media. I don't
Yeah.
I don't like taking pictures. Why should I post something? Everybody else is already posting 100 things a day with thoughts that they have, right? I don't really need to put myself out there. If you are in the military currently thinking getting out, right? I see sometimes when we're on active duty, we don't fill out our profiles. It's kind of like name, branch, and goodbye.
Right.
What would your recommendation be on when do you start building that personal brand? And with LinkedIn, what are some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would say a time frame because I didn't. Like I was already out when I started it. But again, from what I've seen, you would definitely want to, if you know you're getting out in a year, like I would definitely say at least a year, 18 months. Like if you're still in active duty, get on there and start using it. But it's also one of those, it's never too late. So you can say that and you're like, oh God, I can't do it. No, get on there and create it. But the things to talk about, right? They staying away from politics and religion. You'll hear my religion. I will talk about, right? I will use my faith-based in there, but again, it is a professional platform. But I think just what you said too is like there is a lot of noise. There can be a lot of noise on it, and you're like, well, how are my thoughts? But that's on the military side lately too. I've been seeing is the everyone's story. Mm-hmm. There's not one of us in this. I bet in this room that probably we might have some similarities, but everyone's gonna have such a different story. Yeah. And so that storytelling aspect of it, part of, I went to college for marketing and then got into finance, and if it resonates with one person, and again, you have to start somewhere, and it's that slow, what's the whole little analogy, like the snowball, right? Rolling down the hill, and then it just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger.
I mean, what's the saying? Like the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The next best time to plant a tree is today.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, build one today.
Yeah.
Or as soon as you get home after this conference. I know everybody's super busy, going to sessions and whatnot. But also, we live in a world where everything's kind of digital these days. Mm-hmm. Business cards are great. There's a lot of people who love business cards. So keep that in your back pocket. But your LinkedIn profile is how the world is connecting these days.
It's an automatic QR code at the top of
Yeah. And so again, you build out your LinkedIn profile completely so that when people ask for it, they can see exactly what they need to see, right? So they know exactly how to connect with you. They know exactly how to work with you.
And it's ever evolving. We were talking earlier. I was on mine yesterday. There's a banner for LinkedIn. I was on there yesterday, and I probably came up with 8. I really just wasn't happy with it, right? I mean, Henry will tell you, like, he has his, and I was seeing some others, and I really wanted to start because I work in marketing, so I wanted to use my creativity. But I probably went through like 8 of them yesterday. And you can do that, right? And keep your picture updated, right? My picture, like I think Melody, when you pulled mine up, I was like, it's the guy with the white beard. It's not a picture of me when I was in the service with no beard. You're like, who is that? So it's a lot of people will even see that's LinkedIn soapbox of that they don't see LinkedIn as a social media platform. And you're like, it's totally a social media platform.
It just focuses on being professional, business, and a little bit of sharing your life, right? People will say, hey, LinkedIn has turned into a new Facebook. That's not true.
No, like my post today was literally about the 4 years. I flew in AWACS for 4 years, right? So I wore a flight suit. I never really talk about that. So I found some old photos of me in my flight suit, and I was like, meet flight suit Dan, right? And because right, most people don't know that. But so yeah, it's personal. I mean, but it was still like, this is my military side of my career that people who might have followed me or don't know. But it is the professional side, and there's trolling on it. I've blocked plenty of people. I'm sure people probably have me blocked. But it is what it is.
So Dan and Henry, we're quickly running out of time. I have one more question for you on social media influencers. I want to touch that one, and then I want to leave some time maybe for a question or two. We see a lot of social media influencers, right? We're a small business, or you're a small business, you're a growing business. And you did tell me how much that budget was, and my lunch almost came back up. But when it comes to social media influencer, influencers, hiring one, doing that. What is your thought as you're growing your business? Because some people think if you get somebody who's out there with a lot of connections and people, they see my product holding it or eating it, now my business is going to boom.
Yeah.
But the investment for that and the return on investment, can you talk a little bit about that?
It can. And I mean, I can talk about those numbers like now. I mean, so again, at Black Rifle, influencers were under my umbrella. Jess is great, and Jess was the manager, so she really managed them, and I'd manage Jess. But we had 40 influencers and had about a $600,000 budget for 40 influencers, and that's a lot. Some influencers were, getting maybe like $3,500 a month. Okay, but that's where they would stay for a while, but then they weren't, because there's different parts, right? So in a marketing, we even get in so classically trained, there's actually a funnel, right? A marketing funnel. Well, brand awareness is that top part of your funnel. And that's kind of influencers will get there. And then it comes all the way down to conversion. Conversion's your sale. And I would tell you, even in nonprofits, it's the same portion. That conversion, your sale, is a donation. So it's that marketing funnel works for nonprofits as well. But that's where influencers, for just starting, and even for when Black Rifle we did it, they have to be authentic. So again, I can tell you, for me, I don't have money to pay, but I have plenty of friends, and I really haven't asked them yet, because again, it's that relationship. But if you do have some marketing dollars to spend, you really need to look at the authenticity of it. So if I did have money for Arrow and Honor Co., and say it's $500 a month, right, which is pretty low, and maybe that's 2 posts, a month or something, and things like that. If they didn't shoot archery, or probably weren't a veteran, or even really both, it's now not going to play to my audience. I'm trying to think of anyone without being not politically correct, but anyway, Alan, do you shoot archery? No, you do now, right?
But
if he did,
he is now.
No, but my wife does, and so we're on there. But I'd say I've had my kids, they're 18, my 2 older ones, they're 18 and 21. My 13-year-old sometimes wants to be in. I'm like, no, you're 13. I'm not going to use you and any of my stuff right now. But my 18 and 21-year-old, they're not veterans. So I would tell you sometimes, but they do shoot archery. So I feel a little bit fake when I use my 2 boys sometimes.
Because your target audience is?
Veterans into archery. And so that it is very, very niche down for that.
I'm about to start too.
Well, and I tell you, because archery for me, it was very therapeutic. Yeah. I picked it up again back in BRCC days, and it's been something for me that's been life-changing. But those influencers, it has to be authentic. You really have to have someone, because it goes back to your audience, knowing your audience, right? If my influencer, I go back, the lemonade stand, I just kind of came up with, if they don't drink lemonade, but I'm going to try to have them sell my lemonade, it's right. Maybe they're a good actor, right? And can, but if someone knows them, I actually tried to pull up stats for this too, and I forget, but it's like 50% of buying decisions are made from influencers, right? And think about yourself, you see something, and you're like, yeah, okay, they're wearing that, and we look at influencers, because we just had the military influencer conference in Atlanta, and you hear the word influencer, and sometimes it can be cringy. You're like, influencer, ugh. But I would tell you, the military influencer conference isn't that type of influencer. And so even when we look at influencers, we influence every day, right? You influence, or you maybe tell your kids.
You are
Yeah, right. You are. You really are. Yeah. I do it a lot. So again, on LinkedIn, there's a Navy SEAL guy, Mac. He has Mac belts, right? I bought a belt, and then a guy took a picture, and another guy sees it, and he's like, "Oh my God, I got to get that belt too." I'm not an influencer. I didn't get paid by that guy, but I had that photo, and so that's where influencing even comes into user-generated content.
Yeah,
is getting maybe your product in someone's hand, because you can't afford $3,500 or $1,500 a month for them to do it. But maybe a lot of times too, smaller starting businesses, you can get your product in their hand and just give an ask, hey, here's a t-shirt. And and maybe they do it, and it's great. And I would tell you, so Evan pay for, right, for Black Rifle, when he knew I was starting this, he did an IG story. He's like, hey, my buddy Dan's starting this company. I didn't ask him to do that, but people saw it. I mean, Evan's got a way bigger following than I do, right? And so that was a nice little kick. And so that's how influencer marketing can be too. And then you deal with it with,
I want to touch a little bit about what you said about brand awareness.
Yeah.
There's a difference between brand awareness and lead generation.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And, difference is brand awareness will keep your business relevant, right? And also keep your conversation relevant. Lead generation will bring people to your business. So those are two different strategies that most people don't think about. People think about, I'm going to make this post on social media and bring in 1,000 people to my business. All right. That post on social media is brand awareness.
Yep.
Your lead generation is, oh, hey, I'm going to pay this company or its influencer, this amount of money. Hopefully they bring in leads into my business or my website or my form or whatever it is.
And that's why you need data, right? Because
That's
you
where you
need to
need
see
data.
what the conversion rates are coming in. Are you really selling more products because you spent the money on these influencers, right? I mean,
Sure.
it's not necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
that clean, but you can do data. You can have data.
And
that
there's
will
different way
inform.
to track all that
Yeah.
too, with different tracking numbers, and
Hashtags.
hashtags,
And
and things like that.
Yeah.
So
Or even codes when you have discount
Yep.
codes because of your influencer, discount whoever's name by
Yep.
10%, right?
But
That
it's
will-
ever evolving, like you were saying too, the data, because we did that, right? I mean, that number was high and those people were high, but when you're starting something, you need that. It's that rocket fuel because it's that brand awareness.
Yeah.
I need to get that top of that funnel, and eventually, when I'm already there, now I can maybe start shrinking it. And that's what we did, right? It shrunk down. You got less influencers, right? 'Cause we didn't need that, but when you're doing it, it's.
Mhm.
You can think about war. It's just, it's a huge wave. Like I'm throwing everything I got at it, and then once, you're winning, you can start maybe, dwindling it down a little bit.
sure.
Thank you. Do we have any questions in the room? All right.
Hi, I'm Claire.
Hey,
Hi,
Claire.
Claire.
I just want to say thank you guys. Extremely valuable. Wrote some really good tidbits down, and given what you guys have done, just really grateful to be here. You spoke about influencers, paid, what I'm assuming be more of a paid transactional type of approach. Can you share any success stories, or if any, have you seen success in the organic partnership side of things? I know Black Rifle, you guys do quite a bit
Yep.
of organic things, and maybe talk to the success of the business from that.
Yeah.
You have to repeat the question. So let me repeat.
Yeah. Sorry.
So the question was on organic partnership, what has the success been? And moving away from the influencer theme here. You wanna get-
Yeah. Friendships. So friendships are the partnerships and what influencers are. And when I say that, like, eventually some did become paid, but when they started out, so I'll use, like, when I say I'll name drop, there's this guy, Tim Montana. So Tim is a rock country singer. Tim eventually became paid, but even when he was paid, he did way more over what was required of him. And that's what, makes it like even the authenticity of it. But it was really, it's even, I would say for me. So, and I haven't done it yet, Alan, I think we're all talking about, I don't like sales. And we talk about marketing and sales are two different beasts.
Yes.
Okay. So that goes into lead gen in the senses, right? So when I say that, I have friends that are like BRCC people who live here in San Antonio, and they have like a podcast and but one shoots archery. I haven't reached out to them yet. Obviously I can't pay them, but I'm probably going to, but it's a friendship, but it does require that ask, right? Because that's what you're really doing. So it for sure can work. It usually is some kind of friendship or relationship that you already had. I mean, I use this as an example. So Alan invited me down to be on here, and I gave Alan one of my tumblers, right? He's going to take a photo tomorrow, drink his coffee out of it, right? And throw it up on LinkedIn and tag Arrow and Honor Co. Bam.
Boom.
Influencer marketing.
Yeah.
$3,500.
Yeah. For me, for my marketing agency, so I focus on SEO and websites. And so I know a little bit about everything else, but those are not my specialties. So what I did was I reached out to my community so that we can form a team, so that we can have a complete marketing agency to tackle on bigger projects. And in doing so, these partnerships, these friends that I have, we share in each other's social media posts and things like that. So I'm tagging them, they're tagging me. We're talking about different things. And as they're listening, if they're talking to their clients about their needs, and if one of the clients say, "Hey, I need SEO," bam, I'm their guy, right? Or I have a friend who's I would say an expert in copywriting, and if somebody, one of my clients needs copywriting or events marketing or whatever it is, I have an individual for that, and they're all part of my team.
I think that's where your network becomes your net worth, because who you surround yourself with and who's in your network can help you with some of these marketing things, right? Like Alan's going to do for Dan. There's just things that you may not need to pay for because you now have that network. And you think about every dollar out makes you a dollar, less what you can have. And so I think it's important to utilize your network and be in this with your network and surround yourself by people that will do these things for you. Like do a post, even though they don't like to take pictures or drink coffee out of a mug that they may not like, but they're here to support you, right? Not saying that Alan doesn't like Dan's mug, because he was really excited about it.
Well, and that's so my motto for the year, and it's not an original motto by any means, but it's collaboration over competition. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about influencer marketing, like I said, influencer, don't think about it like that one person. It's other companies. So guy Sam Westfall, he does archery as well in Colorado, Army veteran. He's doing archery, and then I'm trying to make my archery community too. So, but we're together, and so he'll commenting and things like that. Though that's influencing because he has his own audience that is different from mine, and vice versa. And so so collaboration over competition is my little catch thing. Again, it's not original, but
I mean, we say that all the freaking time.
Dude, it's
And then I was telling Dan about your sales question there. If you are part of the IVMF community, if you're military connected, they have the Sandler sales training, which is really expensive if you pay for it, but they will provide that at no cost. So if you're not good at sales, but some people are great, but some of us are not. And so that's a great tool that you can have at no cost, where you can take that training, especially as a solopreneur, when you have to do sales. Later, you can outsource your sales, right? Or you can hire somebody to do your sales. But in the beginning, when you know your brand and you know your company, and you don't have the funds to hire someone, you need to be your own sales department team.
Can I say something? I don't know if you guys I think you guys think about sales the wrong way. You're all about customer discovery. You're in a way that sells at an early stage. Well, you're not looking for dollars. You're looking for information. You're asking for something.
Sure.
So just change your mindset of what you're asking for. Whether you're asking for information, or dollars, or partnership, or assistance. To me, it's all sales, because that's the intent, to drive it all there.
So what Alan was saying is we're looking at sales the wrong way. We're looking at it just like to make a sale for dollars, but it's really more. It's information, and the other two pieces I already forgot. So, but it's not just making a sale. It could be information or a partnership or connection. All of that, you are technically selling yourself, right? Your idea, your business. You're just not asking for the dollar at that point. So maybe it's just shifting how you feel about asking for someone to purchase your product.
Yeah, it is that ask, right? It's that closing section of it. And again, so I'm in the IVMF class, and we did sales, and that was the question that was asked. I don't want to get off topic of marketing, but sales, but it was asked of everyone in the class, what's a word that you think of when you say sales? And what is it? Used car salesman, things like that, and things that aren't palatable or likable, right? And so that's where in sales, and that's what everybody, that's what you get ingrained in your mind,
And that's where that Sandler's training tells you that your product or your service meets a need or fills a gap or a void in the market. So you have to look at it differently. And I think Rachel, you had her hand up.
This gentleman had a question.
So, I don't know, thank you. You're about 1,000 miles behind. About a month ago, I brought an AI agent from MasterCard that takes any content you want and posts on social media all over the place. Put it in a development. Everybody loved it. I put it in a QA, and I thought it was such a great code that I saved it to my own computer. On Monday, my computer went dead, and I was like, what happened? 2 hours later, I was looking to a lawyer. Told me that I cannot do that. That they own my code. Okay? But what you're talking about, 2 posts per day, I do 24 a day.
But I would argue, what's the content? What 24 pieces of media?
If you want to know about ancient aliens, you have.
Mm.
You want
Yeah.
to talk about
I would-
my Coinbase account? You have.
Yeah.
It's on my account right now.
Yeah.
Actually, my X account. So I converted it. I brought it at my home.
Yeah.
I'm on my Macintosh, and it's running right now. So every hour, I'm creating new content.
Yeah.
That's great. And then again,
Can you repeat? We have to repeat. Which
so he created an AI thing about to create content automatically. But again, our point was, yes, absolutely, there's content out there, but we still need to vet the content for our voice, for our specific messaging to reach our customers. Thank you so much.
also you want to think about.
Yeah.
I still can't find the drugs, and I'm fired.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
So how do I use this information on LinkedIn, YouTube, and X to find a new job?
So we're
Oof.
talking about entrepreneurship here, really. We can talk offline about how
Yeah, some job
providing
hunting,
some
yeah.
job information.
Yeah.
So, and I think for content also, it's quality over quantity, because you don't want to start spamming people where they feel they see stuff from you all the time and they're no longer reading what you're putting out there, because it sounds like a machine. It sounds auto generated. It doesn't sound authentic, and nobody wants to see 1,000 posts from you all the time. So just be awareness for awareness.
Any of these accounts, they post every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Every 30
Okay.
minutes.
great.
And I hate crypto.
And
Thank you, gentlemen. Next,
Frederick,
what's your name? Oh, hold on, Frederica, and then I'll take you. Frederica.
So, going back to what you asked a little bit raised, that have you seen any examples of, because I always see, buy ads through Instagram, buy ads through Facebook, all of these things, and I'll talk to somebody, and next minute there's an ad on my page. I'm like, you talking to this person? How is that possible? Like, I don't even know this person. So, how does that work? And then, have you seen examples of them buying ads from Facebook and Instagram?
So the question was around buying ads or ads popping up after you have a conversation with someone. The question is, how does that really work? Or does it work?
I can speak to a little bit on paid ads or boosting even too. You would probably more on how it's listening to
So-
you, right? But
so the machine's always listening. All right, let's be honest, guys. You're using Google, you're using iPhone,
Alexa.
Galaxy or what, Alexa, always listening. So as soon as you type information in, that information is already being tracked, and your buyer profile is already being selected to show that ad. Right now there's specific things that I'm doing to make that happen. One is tracking codes on websites. So every website should have a tracking code. Your website needs to have a tracking code. If you don't know how to do that, come talk to me, hire me, I'll make that happen for you. Your website needs to have a tracking code. So as you're typing in information, as you're visiting one website, as you're researching keywords, that information is being sent into the interwebs, into different tracking codes for that information to show you your personal ads. Right, and some of it is internal, like Amazon. A lot of that is internal. So you've seen things like you should be interested in these other products, right? Same concept.
It's data. Somebody's tracking data, right, on what you are looking at, what you're looking for, and then AI starts, right, their machine learning components, they're learning what you like, and then they'll start giving you recommendations. How many times have you gotten something where, like, you looked at something very similar, or you looked at a pair of shoes, heels, and then all of a sudden you start getting all these different recommendations? So it's data collection in the background. It's all about data.
Yeah, sorry. There's another SEO thing out there called voice search optimization as well. So anytime you're asking, hey Google or hey Alexa, they're tracking that information as well.
and then on the paid side, like I would tell you, like, hey, you want to do a Facebook ad. Facebook now has grown so big. If you're probably not spending like $2,500 to $3,500 a month on that ad, don't quote me, it's really not worth it. I can tell you, even with my own little company, I have experimented with it because I know the marketing side of it works. But I would tell you, I've seen the marketing side of it work because we spent 3 million on Facebook ads than to make like 6 or 9 million, right? It's like roulette. If I bet $1, I'm going to win. If I hit one number, I'm hitting like making $35. But if I had $1,000 on one number, you get what I'm putting? So that's what I'm saying. So again, but it goes back to what you want, right? If you just want to get impressions, which are views, which is the brand awareness, then boost an ad and maybe spend $100, right, for the week, right? All day long. And then maybe you get, 50,000 views instead of 5,000 views, right? Sure. I mean, you can do that. That's $100. I mean, that's well worth it. But again, because again, looking at for me, right, I want to sell my t-shirts for now. If I spend $100 and I don't sell a single shirt, that, right, the whole ROI, if I don't get that return, yeah, that's
something's wrong. Your
Yeah.
messaging, customer discovery.
Yeah.
Your ads might be targeted the wrong way.
Yeah.
But there's a lot happening.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay, hold on
Alan.
one second. We have this gentleman
Yeah.
right here.
I would just like to know a simple question. Do you think posting content now is essential to have a successful business venture? Could I go without it, or is it going to make it very hard? I'm going to put it in a disadvantageous position purely because I don't put out content.
So the question was, is posting on social essential to having a successful business?
I'm going to say yes, right? For if, again, what money you have. If you can afford a Super Bowl commercial, if you can afford a radio ad, right? If you can afford a billboard, when you think about marketing, that's what people think about marketing. It's always usually just social media, right? Because that's how we get marketed to nowadays. But you have billboards, radio, TV, written, right? There's paid. You can write an ad. If you can get those, yeah. If you don't have the money to do a billboard or a radio or a TV ad, and then you're looking at $0 to spend, yeah, social media is it, because that is organic. It's gonna be your time, right? Which that's money.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to again be on those platforms for somewhere, because your website, right? You can make a really good website, but how is someone gonna know about your website? And if you're not doing a radio or a TV or some kind of blog, the only other way right now in our world, and think about it, right? We all have our phones on us. I mean, how many times you're looking at it? Like, I think social media is, yeah.
I mean, it's super important. If you have a website, but you're not putting that website anywhere, how are people going to view us? How are people going to view your content? Your website is where your most up-to-date, relevant information lives about your business, right? How are people going to view your website if you're not posting it on social media? If you are not buying ads or paid media, billboards, or sending postcards to people's homes. So there's so many different ways to do it on the paid side, but there's a few ways to do it on the organic side.
Yeah. So in media, right, this is textbook stuff, so I do know a little bit about. So in media, there's paid media, owned media, and earned media, right? So paid is you putting ads, right? Billboards, TVs, ads. Earned is someone hearing about you. So when Alan posts on LinkedIn tomorrow about me or my company, that's going to be earned, right? And then owned is what you own. And then what do you own? And again, in our 2025, you own your social media. So you're throwing it out there. So that's why I'm probably that adamant of like, yeah, social, yeah.
And I would say, even when you talk to social media, marketing is so important in your business, because I can have the best operation. My books can be great. I can even have a wonderful website. But if nobody knows about my business, guess what? I'm not going to have any sales. I'm not going to make any money. So, and then I talked about this earlier, right? Because you're going to a finance course and they'd be like, it is so critical that your books are in order and finance is the most important. Great. You'll go to another class, right, about our operations, like having a tight operation and just having no waste and, throughput, quality, all that. They're going to be like super important. Great. Then you'll go to marketing and then we're like, marketing is really important. But I think, if nobody knows about what you do sell, or, why do your operations, your finance, none of that really, you're just in a vacuum somewhere, not going to make any traction, right?
Rachel, did you have a question?
Actually, what?
Okay, 1 second. Rachel, then you.
I'm Rachel Miller with the Penn Foundation for Military Heroes. I was actually going to ask a question about your thoughts on earned media, but
Yeah.
you kind of answered that.
Yep.
But this was excellent. I have actually been looking for some marketing people to kind of come in and speak to our cohorts as well. So definitely we'll talk more about that. But I didn't know you were in any way connected to Black Rifle. And just as a side note, our board member, Doug,
Yep.
is with Hivers and Strivers.
Yep.
And they were one of the first investors in Black Rifle. So I just think that's really cool.
Here, Rachel.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so the question for me is, I'm hosting an event, but it's on a Sunday, right? Now, how can I create, guest ticket sales, whether it's through social media or through paid advertisements through like Eventbrite, for example? Would it be more beneficial to have multiple platforms to generate sales, or just double down on one ticketing platform to generate the sales I need with my users that I engage?
Oh man, I'm not in event marketing at all.
I am. So I was part of my Black Rifles. I ran events. So like all the grand openings for the coffee shops were me. So if you ever went to any of the grand openings of Black Rifle coffee shops, were me. I would say use one ticket. So like Eventbrite, right? So just use Eventbrite. But yeah, then blast it out on all of the socials that you're using multiple times. Like, for example, like this Sunday or
It's November 16th.
okay.
So what I've been doing is that the people I've booked for the show, I've been reaching out to their followers
Sure.
and doing personal invites.
Yep.
But I'm not getting the conversion I'm looking for. So that's why I'm thinking, okay, what else can I do that's outside of, that one method to be able to generate like maybe a sense of urgency to get people to buy tickets for early bird.
What kind of event is it? Is it a speaking event?
It's a film and music show.
Okay.
Okay.
So you got live entertainment, you have film, but then I'm trying to incorporate that into like a 3-hour event.
Yeah. So I would, you really need, I mean, I don't want to say it's easy because I don't know if you have it, are you doing it or do you have an event person?
No, I'm doing
You're doing it yourself. Yeah. Right. So it's not easy, but like you can really hype it up. Like that sounds like a really cool thing. And so November 16th, so we're sitting at, it's a month away.
Mhm.
I think that's not bad. So I'm not a big fan of, like, I've seen it actually on the nonprofit side. Hey, our gala is in April 2026. I don't know what I'm doing in April 2026. I don't know, right? But now a month, I can plan my life in a month. So I think right now you're sitting at the prime. You need, and I say you need, like, I don't mean to be so direct, but when I say you need, like, I would literally, it gets me all hyper. You need to like, probably like 2 or 3 times, depending on what social, again, I don't know you said, but I would say for now, depending on what you can do, what, like at a minimum, like 2 times a week, if it's a Monday and Friday, be bringing it up, putting it out there. So if I were doing it, right, again, if I'm right, my LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram for sure, right, main page posts, but targeting, right, good media. And then for you, like if I'm thinking about music, I'd probably want some video, like a good reel or something. And then IG stories, right? IG stories only last for 24 hours, right? And I'll get all hyper on that because you can keep doing those and keep that circulating, and then sharing all those speakers and musician stuff too, right? Really then start poking those people to start talking about it. Because if they're coming to support you, you owe that. And for example, I have a shirt. We talked about it. I won't get too, like, they're great, but I'm gonna need to poke them when I'm done today. Like, I need more of your help for this shirt that I'm trying to help you with. Okay. So I would start poking that, but you have that month. And so you start just really like hammering that. Do you have an email list?
Yeah.
Yep.
This was the last event I hosted.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now, I also thought about doing TikTok, right?
Sure. That's not bad. I'm not a big TikToker, but yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I'm actually doing a series of getting to know San Antonio events, restaurants, etc. I don't care for TikTok, but I like it for research purposes. My main platform is Instagram. But all of the events, markets, festivals, even this, the only reason why I found it was because of TikTok.
Yeah. Right.
So
So that's
let
again,
me-
knowing where your audience is. I
I
hate it, but it works. So yeah.
would go a step back. Are you sure that your date is not in competition with another event that your audience may be attending, and therefore is attending that event because it's maybe more known, they've already committed, and therefore you're not getting the responses that you need.
Also, you're also 4 weeks out. Generally, ticket sales are in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors in play, but as far as promotion, I'd reach out to your artists and have them promote the event as well.
Yeah, like push
I'd
them.
reach out to, I partner with the event center, other like creative art studios in town, have them promote it as well. So there's so many different things
Variables.
that you can do.
And there's so many variables to consider, right? We don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how to focus my efforts into maybe 1 or 2 things, just to, you know, really go down on it. But
It's Mark. It's one of those things that you saw me like. I get all hyper,
Mhm.
like, and you're doing it yourself. And it's why, like, if you could get help.
And
Yeah,
the biggest thing is, and the biggest thing about marketing, and no marketer will tell you that I'm going to say on stage today, marketing is all about testing. We don't know what works until it works.
Right.
Is this your first? Is this the first one? The first,
the
second one?
I had this event in San Antonio. This event's going to be in Austin.
Okay.
So I've been driving to Austin.
Yeah.
Austin.
Okay.
You know, how can I
Yeah.
expand that reach?
That's difficult. Do you live here though?
I live in
Yeah. See, that's a little bit difficult. The geography, right? 'Cause you're trying to know that.
We can take this
Yeah, sorry.
offline if we want to talk
Yeah.
more. Any other questions in the room? Yes, ma'am, in the back. What's your name? Hi, Kiana.
I'm also pretty new to San Antonio.
Okay.
So I have an inquiry. Right? If you've been in a particular service industry, or you've been working with projects and just kind of working in a specific service area for quite some time, but you haven't quite centralized it. So let's say you were doing that thing initially for a really long time. Where we come from is a smaller community. So like, you know, you can get engaged and get hired to do different things even well before you actually start organizing it into like a small business structure, which happens to be the case with me. But I'm trying to, now that I've gotten to the point where I actually have turned it into a formal business structure, I'm trying to determine how best to pool all the things that all the experiences that I've accumulated and all the things that I've done together without it necessarily feeling like I'm, for example, drowning my LinkedIn timeline with things that I've already done. So like, do you have any advice on how to best organize and I guess archive things that have transpired that are relevant to where you're going with your business that may have transpired well before you really got into like marketing?
So I focus on discovering what your values are, what your messaging pillars are, right? So you can focus everything you're doing, all your message, all your efforts into those 2 or 3 things that really dive into who you are or who you want the world to see you are. So that may be entrepreneurship, that may be small business, or that may be as a nonprofit expert consultant or whatever it is, right? And if the content does not align with your messaging pillars, don't post it.
And we want to take one more last question if there are any. Okay, we're all good with questions. Well,
Thank you,
thank
guys.
you,
We'll be around
Henry.
hanging out.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Dan.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks.
As a sign of appreciation, I want to give you a small token.
Oh, Molly, thank you so much. Thank you.
Dan, for you.
Thanks.
And for you, Henry.
Are you a hugger? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm a hugger.
Thanks.
And we're going to take a picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm getting in the middle.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yep.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Grab your mic. That was great. Thank you.